the phones that we have today, and I think it was after the iPhone 10, I want to say, but the camera in the iPhone 10 was better than the camera that Steven Spielberg had to film Jaws. So our phones are so freaking incredible, and the cameras that are in them, just shoot it on your phone. Get ready to pump creative fuel into your dealership marketing. Our guest shares his imaginative campaigns that drove sales without gassing budgets. I'm your host, Brooke Furniss, and you're tuned into Facts Not Feelings. Today, we're getting creative, dun, 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 in the automotive space. And I am joined by the one and only Brian Ortega. Now, I'm sure you have seen, unless you've been living under a rock at some point, you've seen Brian and his incredible commercials on LinkedIn, on TV, on streaming, on everything in between. He's the creative director at Valley High Toyota. And if you haven't seen his commercials, don't leave now because you're watching or you're listening. But after this episode, go check out his commercials. They are phenomenal with a capital P or F if Hooked on Phonics works for you. That works as well. But he is talking all the day about the risk that he has taken and the big rewards when it comes to imagining marketing and reimagining that marketing. Brian, I am so stoked to have you in the show today. Mic drop.
We're here. Yeah, let's see this, Brooke. It's finally happening. All right.
It's only taken 2 years, but we've got here, Brian.
Legions of people have wanted this episode to happen.
And what you don't know is that I just got the logo back today right before we started recording for the Facts Not Feelings After Dark show. I got the logo back today for my creative design individuals, team, awesome people. But I came back today, so it was only appropriate that I had you on the show today. It worked out nicely. I'd have to.
There you go. Little 90210 Peach Pit After Dark. You know, and you gotta roll off another idea.
I love it. That's what we do here. That's what we do here. And I love you're so interactive on the Friday shows, and in general, so much support always makes my day and my week automatically better. And I'm like, oh, here comes Brian in with the dropping the awesome comments in. And now we have you live in the show. I'm so stoked right now. So let's.
Oh my God! Just imagine Jordan and Nathaniel and Jeff. Oh, when this hits.
And Vasilios now says he's going to have to repay the same that you all did to him. So Vasilios, you better.
He will.
All right, let's jump right into this. We all know that car dealership marketing trends are trends, but also they tend to play just a little bit safe sometimes when it comes to their marketing. However, you are a bit of a trailblazer. I mean, you go and look at all the interactions, all the engagement. So we know it's not all about the likes, but there's so much engagement because you freaking rock when it comes to creativity. So I got to know, what is your secret? What are you doing over there at Valley High Toyota?
Oh, that's so you gotta be willing. You gotta have the willingness to be audacious, okay, and the eagerness to be spontaneous, all right, and the mindfulness to be tenacious. Basically what that means is you gotta try something different, right? You gotta be out of the box, think totally outside of the box, and whether it succeeds or fails, you don't want to play this woulda, shoulda, coulda game, right? And because a lot of people, what a lot of businesses tend to do is play it safe, right? And I always tend to think of it, put yourself in the viewer's shoes, because if they're watching you and you're responding to yourself and you're just like, oh my gosh, think of what they're thinking, So you got to have the willingness to be audacious. You got to take risks with your content, and especially now, because, I was going through our attention spans, used to be 15 seconds. Then it went down to 12 seconds in like the year 2000. Now we're like at 8.5 seconds, in this Vine mentality, this TikTok mentality. You got to get creative. You got to impress somebody right off the bat. So I think we've been able to do that through the years.
Amen. And it's so interesting, before we go to this next question here, that you brought up the attention span. I don't know how many people actually look at that, because that's still so tough for me to wrap my brain around, that I know that we live in this microwave ADHD, there we go, mentality where, okay, so it's 30 seconds. Well, aren't sure it's 50 to 60 seconds? You know, as long as under 60 seconds, it's just not good, Brooke and Brian. Well, yes, but if you're not looking to see where that drop off is, well, you've just lost them because that attention span. Oh, you want to be done for me? Like, I can just scroll the next video. I can just scroll the next reel. I can scroll the next short. So if you don't capture it immediately, and even if you have captured it, if they think that it's not going to provide them any value, or you're not entertaining them, or whatever the reason is that they've went to go, whatever they're looking for, to whatever the reason is, you've lost them. So I love that you brought that up because it's getting shorter and shorter. I'm like, they're jumping on my video in 30 seconds. Like, what the actual hell is going on right now? So I love that you brought that up. So let's go a little bit more here. Can you share a specific example where you took maybe just a little bit more creative risk than maybe normal, but it paid off with massive big results?
Yeah, and we're gonna delve into this further, but you know, we do these car giveaways, and they're used car giveaways. And when my GM, you know, hit me up and he was like, "Hey, let's do this car giveaway," and instead of it being a landing page on a website, fill out a form, which we still do, and if we can go into that later, but made this whole video about it, showcased the car, and posted it on Facebook. And that thing it soared. And this was back before Facebook business was really pay to play. You know, that the reach got really out there, and we started really building up this hype around the dealership. And, you know, 24 cars later, we're still creating different ways to get people's attention. And a cool free, it's not free because they got to pay the tax and license, but it's a giveaway. It's new to them, right? So.
And I've seen so many dealerships, they'll give away a vehicle and it's like a one and done. Or we might do it again in 5 years for our 30th anniversary, and then maybe our 40th. So it's like once every decade they do it. You guys give these away at a rapid pace. So when it comes to that engagement, when it's done right, and that's the really key thing, because you guys do this so well and you're so successful at it. So what are those, I'd say, some of the most engaging ones, the successful ones you've done that make you stand out? Because yes, the content's great, the videos are great, but what makes them so damn successful? Because you guys are so great at them.
So every winner is totally random, because we don't ask, you know, why do you deserve it? You know what? It's totally just interactive. And that's the main thing. All of them are engaging. So one week we'll say, hey, post a comment below. And that's your entry. And this past one that we did, we teamed up with a local content creator, because he has tons of followers on TikTok and Instagram. And he's always talking about the community, about this area. So I hit him up on TikTok. I go, hey, we're doing this car giveaway. You wanna team up with us? So we did a collaborative post, and we were like at 4,000 Instagram followers, hovering for about a year, because it's our same audience. It's the same people entering. And then this time, you know, I hit up my GM. I was like, man, let's try this. And he's like, I'm not sure about it. I was like, trust me, right? It's always, all right, Brian, man, you these ideas. So he asked for some money. It was a little more than my GM was willing to pay. So we brought it down and we kind of worked things out, because he's a content creator. So he came to the dealership, created some posts, and we did this post together. And as soon as he did, our reach just went exponential. We shot up to like 7,500 Instagram followers, up to, so we got like 3,000 in a couple of days. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, let's just rewind there for a hot second, because I was going to go to community, but I'm like, we're going to go back to TikTok here for a hot second, and Instagram, because I'm going to say most, just because I've seen quite a few automotive Instagram accounts, and it's like 200 followers. And not that that's bad. I don't want to say that's bad. It's just normally Instagram doesn't do too well at dealerships in the automotive space. It's usually Facebook, because when it comes to Facebook, usually you can just do better when it comes to marketplace and when you do ads and everything in between. So you can do a little bit better there, statistically speaking. And I'm hearing these numbers out of Instagram, and you're partnering with TikTok influencers. I just am trying to wrap my head around that you guys have that many followers on Instagram, which is crazy. So that's number one. Number two, you're partnering and leveraging platforms like TikTok and reels to showcase your creativity, which you guys once again are just killing it. What types of videos then? And then I want to circle back to the community portion because that's so big. But what type of videos are you guys doing that seem to resonate the most with your audience?
Yeah, so we're on TikTok and Reels, and then YouTube Shorts is huge too. So I think people really need to take advantage of that. It's the short form stuff, Brooke. I mean, you gotta. It's funny because I'm not really into cars. Dun, dun, dun. Right? It gets me from here to there, but people will talk about cars. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's not really my thing. People and to get attention and to impress and to engage with them. That's where my focus is. And if cars end up being in it, cool. So what we're doing is just creating short form content, stuff to get in, get out, entertain you. Just sent my assistant outside right now because, Toyota stock is really low. We finally got a Sienna on the lot. Right. And I was like, bro, go outside, go do a video, just do a quick walk around. Let's do something, fun. Find some engaging music that maybe has to do with family, and then we'll post that 30 seconds or less, get in, get out. But to that point, like leveraging whatever's trending, whether it's, the audio, whatever somebody's, using, you follow the hashtags and just go from there. And we've been able to, because I think you talked about it on your show recently, like TikTok, it's just like, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then I'm up there, and I know older people are doing it too, but it's just some things I'm just like, okay. So with having a younger assistant and then teaming up with another local business, we're able to use that, and they go. We were talking about swiping. They're looking at stuff and trying to find where we can leverage the whatever's popular, whatever's trending, and then get post on that.
Okay, I want to ask a question on that because for those that are like, wait, I'm not even sure how to find what's trending or what hashtags are trending. How do they do that? I mean, is that something you're just saying, hey, younger generation, that's your language? I don't speak it. Figure it out because you're smarter than me? Or is that something that you do?
Well, I'll look into what's relevant, what's going on in the area, and then how can we tie it back to sales? Okay. Like for instance, the Labor Day, I have a little meeting with them, and I'm like, hey, we want to focus on pre-owned vehicles and the holiday. See if there's something going on there, and we can kind of use that for our content. So, yeah, I'm involved, but sometimes they'll come back and show me something like totally out of left field. Trust me, man, this thing's going to work. And I'm like, all right, roll with it, which is the good thing, Brooke, because I think over the years, we kind of built this persona that the dealership is able to take on these risks, to think outside the box and be different. Now, if you're barely going into it, you got to kind of be careful, right? Because if it's not you and you don't go back to it, like what you mentioned before, and then it's kind of cringe. You use the terms that kids use these days.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. I can't. I need an entire Urban Dictionary, just like all the words. I'm like, I don't even know what half these words mean. I'm like, just speak like a normal human. I ain't smart. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I want
to. It was one of our commercials.
Right there. I want to say it was probably, I don't know, at least 5 years ago, maybe more than that Twitter came out with like, here are the hashtags for all the holidays, or hashtags to use on random like pizza day or whatever. And I remember I'd always download those every single year. And then Twitter like stopped doing it or made it like really difficult to find. And I was like, why? And I was like, oh, because there are other hashtags, because it changes every single day. But I was so like, what am I supposed to do as a content or like a marketing person? But that for me, I was like, okay, on pizza day, we're going to do this. Okay, on National Ice Cream Day. And I would automatically I think it was HubSpot that I could bring it into my calendar. But I'd make sure that I would, have the content calendar ready to have those hashtags. Now everything has changed. So it's like every single day could be something different. So it's you're not staying on top of that. And for me, it's like hire someone younger that knows what they're doing. Because like for me, like we just said, like I don't understand it. I'm not going to pretend to understand it. I will hire someone that's younger than me that does understand it.
Yeah. I mean, this one recently, it hit 3.5 million views.
Jeez, man.
And it was just, taking a trending sound and then just putting some content to it. But the funny thing is that they always show me, man, look how well this is doing. I go, well, it still hasn't reached my Joe Rogan video. So I don't know if you know this. So Joe Rogan was on his podcast and he was talking to Jim Brewer, and they were talking about Toyota trucks. They were talking about Tacomas. And then, because I listened to the podcast, and just this light bulb like went off, ding. And I was like, I'm going to take that clip and we're going to, cut that up. And that's like at 4.5 million views.
Holy
bunch of comments. Yeah. Bunch of comments. Yeah, I love my Tacoma. So that's where you want to get people talking, and you want to reply to them as well. You want to respond to as many.
Yes. And to that, I honestly don't remember who I was interviewing. And we were talking like out of the gate, like if you're just starting, your stuff's going to suck, and that is okay. Like you don't know what you're doing. Usually you don't know what you're doing unless you have an incredible team around you that's going to that are just amazing and awesome. But for the most part, and I go back and look at some of my stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing. I literally am self-taught in everything that I do. We were having this conversation offline, and I was getting a bunch of just like really hateful comments. And at the time I was just like a little bit of a bruised ego. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Stop yelling at me. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and he just goes, but they're still commenting, aren't they? I go, yes, they are. And the person that just like a bunch of hateful comments. And so I remember just going, go back and comment and just be like, thank you for the advice. I'll use it on the next video. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for the advice. And just kept like killing with kindness. But I was like, to your point is that please make sure you go back and respond. When you don't, you're hurting yourself when you don't do those things. So, all right. So I want to pivot and go back to what you talked about, the community involvement. And that is so incredibly vital to your success, not just as a business, but also to your creative and to everything you're doing, to your partnerships and everything. So go give us some examples, provide some examples of those partnerships that you're currently doing, that you have done with those local businesses, and then the benefit of that.
Oh, it's imperative. I mean, you want to succeed, then, be a part of your community. It's on my shirt. We have this thing, your community dealership. So, it's where we can team up with local businesses. And there's especially this one in this local area. It's a news group on Facebook, and we teamed up with them early. And it was just it's called the Victor Valley News Group. They always post just news in the area, car thefts, crashes, some positive stuff. And early on, I want to say around 2014, they started to blow up, and I hit them up. I'm like, how can we advertise with you guys? So we got their banner posted by us. I'm able to post on their website, I'll post the giveaway, but then I'll say, hey, if you're looking for a car, I'll still put links to the website, and, you still got to have the calls to action. But teaming up with local businesses is super cool, especially with this latest car giveaway. It was an older Scion XD, right? But we got a local tinting shop to donate the tint.
I tinted windows from our good friends at Cool Ray. All right.
And we were, tagging each other. We were posting videos, so it's a win-win-win, right? For not only us, but the winner.
Thank you, Valley. Hi, Toyota. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Congrats.
And then also the business who is working on their business. They don't have time to be posting social stuff. And then even more so, unbeknownst to me at the time, we hit up our local friends they're called Autistics. And he's like, yeah, you know what? We'll put a Sony stereo in it.
Shout out to Autistics.
A backup camera, the camera, full display.
Everything gets through the screen.
Yeah. Touch screen. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a nice little car.
And then they got their distributors to be involved in it. And then even Sony itself. So, it was just a trickle down effect. And they're, you know what? We're in for car number 25 as well.
Are you next? Used car giveaway number 25 coming soon.
Because they saw what we were able to do with their content. You know, we went to the shops, we shot some video, you know, focused on the owner, and then they were able to talk about what they do for the community as well. So it's just stellar how just things keep, you know, just snowballing when you team up with local businesses, and then you build trust within the community, right?
It's so true. And I want to go to the Facebook portion because you do a really good job as well, is that you're building engagement through, we talked about Facebook, you know, really early on, but about Facebook groups. Now, I've seen it before. People create the group, but then they just let it go stagnant. And like, oh, we created it. I'm like, but what are you doing with it? So what strategies have you seen for yourself with Valley High Toyota that works really, really well with your Facebook groups?
Yeah, so we created because, you know, we saw it early on, and especially when we saw, you know, Zuck kind of wanting to focus on people instead of businesses. So I was like, I'm going to create a group page. It's called Valley High Toyota's friend page. And when we started, it was like exclusive, right? You needed to be invited to it. And then we kind of opened it up now, but we just asked a couple questions, and I give them exclusive content. You know, if they're in the group, they have chances to win something that not everybody else can win. You know, we're able to showcase businesses in there. If you have a business, go ahead and put it in the comment section. You know, let's see if we can support one another. Different strategies. Like, you can become a finalist just by to win the car, just by entering the friends group. And then I'm able to tag at everyone, right? And now I can post something, and then everybody will see it. So.
That's awesome. So, and I know that you've taken this a step further as well, is that you do incredible, because I know that I'm on the email chain. So I get the emails that are come through the email blast. So how do you then build that strong email campaign and the text list? And then how do you keep that engagement so it's still really, really high, and if the content is still really, really high?
You know, I think a lot of times businesses and dealerships, especially, they'll have their list and they'll be like, just bombard them with sales, you know, hit them. Yes. And it's the whole Gary Vee, you know, strategy, just, you know, jab, 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 you know, and then go for the ask. So building these lists, which is really cool, because for the giveaways, we'll have them post user generated content, right? Show a picture of the face you would make if you won the car. So now we got people sending us pictures. I'll create a video from that. Nominate a veteran and send the picture when they were in service. So it's different ways that we can build these lists in terms of, because we still ask to fill out a form to confirm emails and phone numbers, but then we serve them information, you know, because it's relevant to them. You entered this car giveaway. We're going to show you another thing to win. Oh, by the way, only one person's going to win the car. Did you know that we have used cars starting at $8,995, or the lease specials are available now because you're not going to win. So it's always just having fun. It's sending these texts. You know what it is. You always have to be reminding people, you know, so before we go live, and we really leverage going live. We'll go on live on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We've kind of looked into TikTok so much, but it's not working too well. So, because it's a totally different audience, right?
Yeah.
It's not people that are around you. So at least with the other three, we can focus on, you know, harnessing our you know, PMA.
It's, once again, interesting you bring that up, because even though if you're not looking at your data to understand and your analytics to see who your audience is, and to your point, Brian, as I look at my TikTok audience, once again, still trying to figure out the whole TikTok situation, but my audience there, the age demographic is completely different than any other platform. And yes, to your point, it's not here, it's going to be all over. But the age demographic is not even close to any other platform. So that is why it's so important that you look at that and say, okay, what is it going to be here? What is it going to be here? And if you're literally just copying and pasting either the captions or this, that, not going to say you're going to fail. You're just going to learn real quickly what's not going to work. And then you're going to learn what's going to work. So just really pay attention to those things, because there's really robust reporting back there. So definitely take a look at it. So go ahead.
And we do use TikTok advertising. We work with AET, and we're able to to build, because you can target. It gets pretty granular too. So your audience, you're there to entertain, because we'll still post the commercials on our TikTok. Don't get as many views as they do on the other platforms or engagement. It's the little ones that these guys are doing, Andrew and Frankie, that get most of the views. But we'll still post our inventory, and it's really insightful how we can. We look at the insights and the analytics through all of them, and can kind of gauge where we should put more dollars to advertise.
Oh, it's so true. So the question's got to be asked, because you're being asked to do a lot of different things. You're wearing a lot of different hats. You just said, hey, I'm sending my assistant out to go film. I think you said a Sienna, if I'm correct. Do some little family sounds around it. So how do you then say, okay, I don't want to overextend myself? You probably do anyways, but I'm trying not to. So how do you decide where to focus your efforts so that you don't be Stretch Armstrong and being pulled in 15 different directions?
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing with my GM. He's like, you're always, get something done, then move on to something. I go, but this is popular right now. Let's, there's strategies when it comes to, like, we build the whole month pretty much, because we shoot a commercial a month, and that becomes, the hub that we build campaigns around. For instance, we just did a football commercial.
Where the gridiron meets the road, Valley High Toyota stands as a fortress of ambition.
No one on the sidelines, boys. We're in the trenches now.
They're not just guests, they're family.
The team delivers precise and accurate touchdown deals. Like a cerebral head coach with his star quarterback, Toyota Todd and Brian greet their ravenous fans with pride.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing? Hey, we do it for you guys, the fans, the VHT fans.
Join the team today.
It's based on Hard Knocks, and kind of, making fun of John Facenda's voice, and on NFL films. But yeah, everybody's ready. They're filling out their fantasy brackets, which I did mine last night.
Ours is Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. But, you want to be relevant. So we'll build our banners around, football kickoff savings this month. The E-Blast will have, that type of theme. So, and then next month is obviously Halloween. So, we have this, this will be our 7th commercial where zombies are involved.
Yeah. By the way, everyone is looking forward to that one. You know that, right?
And that's another thing, because the superhero one we did went a little over budget. So we're like, and I'm always thinking grandiose, right?
Never.
And my GM's always say, you should think there's an open checkbook, man.
What, dealerships have budgets? What are you talking about?
God,
Endless funds rolling. It's like Scrooge McDuck, we're going the backstroke in his coins here.
Yeah. So, with being, when I try to harness, I just, because a lot of people, they're, oh my God, you have so much fun at work. That's all you do. I was like, the grind, printing the reports, looking at things, the analytics, the CTAs, the view rates, how's it doing on OTT, and just sourcing, right? If I can get these guys to source, and
if you figure that out, please let me know, because I've been trying for 15 years now to get people to source correctly, and it just doesn't work. So good luck with that one, especially with the new GA4. Things are sourced so differently now with channel grouping. So yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that brings us in. So that made me think of one, massive roadblock of trying to get people to source things correctly. But in whether it's funding, whether it's whatever it may be, there's also just a lot of roadblocks you're going to run into with if they're creative campaigns, that there's going to be roadblocks you run into. So how do you then tackle those roadblocks that are maybe, they can be speed bumps or roadblocks in general, but how do you tackle those roadblocks?
So now, because we're kind of popular, I don't know, so to speak, and every time I try to come up with an idea, and it's not just that, let me get this out the way right now, Brooke. It's not just me. we have a team, and it's just brainstorming, and everybody's coming up with something. And I'll just pick up on something and kind of run with it. So the roadblocks are just legal issues. Like we shot this it was a superhero commercial, and we couldn't have the likeness of Superman. We had to make these generic superheroes. And I couldn't say, because the whole premise was the Supra friends, like Toyota Supra. And they're like, you can't say super friends because that alludes to the cartoon when, in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you want to take it on, we'll submit it, but, you don't want to have to delve into any legal issues. But that's our biggest one right now, because there's things that we've done in the past that have gone by without any kind of, picking at it. Like this one we did, my gosh, had this idea. It was when Game of Thrones was ending. And I was like, we have to do a Game of Thrones commercial.
Yeah.
So somebody in the meeting was like, Game of Thrones. I was like,
that's brilliant.
That's it. So we kind of built the commercial around that. And then we shot 2 takes, and Toyota Todd, the GM, was like, the Game of Thrones is on at Valley High Toyota. And we couldn't use that. So we had to, couldn't use that. It was too close. So, yeah. So we had to use another take for that. And it keeps going on and on. So
the joys of legal. What is it like? A marketer never has all 3 budget, approval for legal, and creative, or something like that.
Yeah. So they're like the risk assessment, if you want to get into, I go, but we're parody. We're to the point where we're SNL,
That's exactly my point. I was like, doesn't SNL get away with all this stuff? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, this may answer the next question then, because to your point that you said earlier, like people see and they're like, oh, he's just having so much fun. And while you are, what they don't see is behind the scenes is that while it is fun and games, it sometimes is not all fun and games. And that there are same thing as me, is that you're going to have those creative fails that like, you're like, this is going to be awesome. And you're like, oh, it just landed on, just crashed and burned.
Yeah.
But then you learn from that. So like, what are those things that when those creative fails do happen, and it's like, especially for me, when I hear someone like you, like, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And this is how I learned from. What are those? How can you share some with our audience with those?
I think I mentioned it before, but on one of our car giveaways, I cut up 25 keys, and we had them come to the dealership. Now we go live and we do it online. But this was before, and we had people come to the dealership. We fed them, we gave them other things. We gave other things away. And then, here I am, I'm getting content. We got the local newspaper involved. I got videos going on, and because that person was going to start the car, right, was going to win it. So I'm thinking, maybe the 18th person, and we're going to have all this content to post. Now, first guy turns on. And then I slowly look at my, because he called me out on it. He's like, what if the first guy? And I was like, and I look at him, and he's like,
well, that sucks. You're like, everyone else keep going. We're just going to keep getting content here. It's good.
Yeah, let's go. A couple other ones. We did a couple commercials. I did one because we started to open service on Sunday. And so I was like, church, right? Service on Sunday. So we had this, open your service manuals to page, so we got a little backlash, from that. My pastor thought it was hilarious.
I think it's hilarious.
Another one did. For New Year's, we were coming back. I was coming back from the holidays, and I had, eaten too much. So I had this 300-pound fat suit on, and we got accused for fat shaming from a couple people. So those aren't major failures. It's just, I think we built so much trust within the community through the years that, we get a long leash when it comes to certain content.
Oh, man. Well, I'd say they're learning moments more than anything else. We're also, oh God, I think it was Steve Carell that said, He's like, if The Office would have aired now, he goes, we would have been canceled immediately. So it's also a different day and age that we're living now than we were 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's a little different when Game of Loans doesn't get passed. But that's a whole other...
No, and here's another one. I know it could come up, but I think one of the ideas that I had, and I know it's not going to happen, especially now since it's making a comeback, but through the pandemic, I was like, what if we do a spot called the Corolla virus?
Dude, I'm dying.
They're like, no, dude, no, not even. And I'm like, how about now? I mean, people, they have the itch, the urge, they got the virus, they need to have the Corolla. So now
you can have an entire mask on the Corolla. Just put on the grill of it.
So many ways that one can go.
Oh, you can have a lot of fun with that. I'm literally crying right now, Brian. Yeah, this is good stuff.
That's the goal, yeah.
Okay, so with that, we've talked about some awesome content out here, and I'm sure that I guarantee, because I was definitely one of them when I worked at a dealership, is you're thinking, that's great, that's awesome. I didn't have a budget, Brooke, at our own dealership to have an assistant. I'm wearing 17 hats. That would be great, but I don't have an endless budget. I don't have anybody. I'm doing social, I'm doing marketing, I'm HR, I'm photo taker, I'm light turner offer, take out trash person. I'm doing everything. So how do you even maximize the creativity with that limited resource, or limited resources, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. That's what I appreciate about the car industry. I mean, just working at the dealership, that's what I got hired to do, is just take pictures of the used cars, and just, the ability for, management to just recognize the cream goes to the top, right? I mean, it helped that I have a film degree too, but I mean, I don't know if that really plays into it. So just being able to be resourceful. I mean, the commercials, we have a production team, we have been doing a lot of rewriting and shooting them, redoing them. But a lot of these things you can get in-house, right? I mean, it took forever for me to get an assistant, and because I didn't have time to do everything. Like you said, it's just stretched too thin. And then when our vice president, even the owner, saw where we were going and how taking photos was taken away from my abilities to do more creative things, then, we were able to pick someone up. But I mean, just take advantage of people that you have at the dealership. You have people at your dealership that you can come up with ideas, and they can create content. I would love for our salespeople to just be willing to, hey, can I do a video, and will you guys post it? Yeah, bro. But they see right here, they don't see the long, the big picture when it comes to things like that. But in terms of budget, I mean, the things that we can get from phones, just shooting and editing from that alone, it's huge.
Just today, I did 6 different reels, and everything was edited on the phone. All the thumbnails were on the phone, all through CapCut. I mean, it's just amazing on the phone. The phones, and I know I've thrown the stat down before. So if you're new to the show, if you're an OG, you're gonna hear it again. If you're new to the show, you're gonna hear it for the first time. But I was listening to a presenter, and more or less the stat was the phones that we have today, and I think it was after the iPhone 10. I want to say, don't quote me. I think it was the iPhone 10, but the camera in the iPhone 10 was better than the camera that Steven Spielberg had to film Jaws. So our phones are so freaking incredible, and the cameras that are in them, just shoot it on your phone. Like, if you don't have a big budget, I mean, there's so much you can do with it. And all the stats out there that the reels, that the any type of shorts, it's usually the ones shot on your phone that end up getting better click-through rates on them, because it looks real. It doesn't look professionally done. So with that, there's so much can be done on the phone. So I love that you brought that up, and it's just a very, very smart comment.
And more times than not, it is the one, that just looks organic or, just quickly made, than the biggest studio stuff. So, I mean, and make sure you shoot vertical. All right.
Yes. And what's so funny is I go back and look, once again, probably 3 years ago, everything was like, oh, we shoot, horizontal.
And it's
And
sacrilege.
oh,
It's sacrilege.
I hear you. It's so weird for me to go vertical. I'm like, no, it should be horizontal. That's what I preached for so long. So that's one of those things, because trends are ever revolving, that in 2 years, it might go back to horizontal. But you just have to constantly say, what is the trend? Is it vertical? Is it horizontal? Hell, maybe it goes diagonal at some point. We don't know. We just follow the trends. Maybe it's upside down. I don't know.
I think you're onto something, Brooke. Yeah.
There's all of a sudden you'll see that, like, I follow these, like, how to shoot photographs or videos, whatever, and it's, flipping the phone upside down to get the camera, and it's like, man, it's crazy how insane these cameras have gotten. To your point, like, just follow the trends of what it is to get the best shot. But all of that's on a phone. I go back to, it's on the phone.
Yeah, don't be apprehensive. You got to be willing to take that risk. I have this little, in terms of, I have this little cross stick, I call it, which is cool because how well Deion Sanders did this year, this past week, Prime. So I call it, is it personal? Is it relevant or relatable? Is there information in there? Is it memorable, right? Memorable, meaningful, is it something that's going to, people are like, oh my gosh, I remember when they did that. So is it engaging? Is it entertaining? So if you go through the Prime, then you'll be able to notice that your content is ready for prime time.
Amen, man. Amen. All right. So I got to ask, one, I love that acronym. So everyone, Prime, remember that, is that you've done a really, really good job involving all of the team members, whether it's Toyota Todd, whether you remember listening to, I can't remember where I heard you talk about this, but getting all the managers involved and saying, hey, what's your idea? And even with that, is that it's so difficult sometimes to get team members on board, and they're just resistant to these new initiatives. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing TikTok. I'm not doing Facebook. No, you can go screw yourself. I'm not doing this. So how do you get everyone involved especially when they're resistant to this new change or new initiative or whatever it may be?
Yeah. So even coming on board, Todd was our GM, Todd Stokes was pretty, forthright when it came to video. I was doing periscopes, I was doing a lot of these things. So for him just to be willing to, we will come up with these ideas, and he's open to it. He's wearing tights, for God's sake, in our first superhero commercial. But it trickles down from there. If I can do it as the GM, service manager, GSM, parts manager, you guys can get involved too, and and have fun with it. And I don't want to be the face of the dealership, right? I think we have managers and team members where people can walk in and be like, I recognize you, and they'll kind of tease me about that. They're, oh, here he is again. So if you look at our behind the scenes, I play this diva, and it's pretty. But speaking of the office, but if there's total buy-in from management, and that it can end in dollars for the store, because I actually, and it's just not video, right? Because I recorded our managers to be on the phone for our on-hold music. Hey, this is Jared Little, service manager at the dealership. Just want to let you know that to this month's specials, so you're going on from there. Now you're putting a face to the name. And when it comes to reputation management, Yelp reviews, and you keep saying the same names when you're reading through them, now you're putting these faces to a name, and kind of be more forgiving instead of going off, on people.
And you're humanizing everything. It's not just hey, I see that person on TV and they're in tights or in, whatever fun getup they've got. They're an actual human being, which you're taking that wall down automatic and be like, once again, they're human, which is so important. So you spoke a little bit earlier about Joe Rogan. So I know that you're listening to Joe Rogan, listen to his podcast. What other inspiration outside of automotive are you drawing? From where are you drawing? Because too often I hear that we're only looking at automotive. I'm like, but that's great. I love our industry. You really need to be looking outside of our dealership bubble and our automotive industry bubble to draw from that inspiration outside of her. So where else are you looking to get your inspiration?
wherever I go, these Liberty Mutual commercials,
They're awesome.
Mr. Beast, Jack in the Box. But I have issues with this latest Jack in the Box commercial where they have doubles playing themselves. I think they got that from us.
So we don't Jack in the Box West Coast. So I grew up on Jack in the Box, but I live so we don't have Jack in the Box out here. So, but I used to love that.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
You're gonna notice. All right, I got to show you this because I think there's another commercial. I was like, that looks like ours. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'll just go through pop culture, or I go to a lot of like games, venues, concerts, and I'll just look at what content is captivating me and, want to do our take on it. It's just super cool to be able to ingest and to really revere other people's content, and then just, what's the phrase, about stealing, creativity.
Greatest form of
flattery, it's just
flattery. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
But it's crazy. Real quick, I wanted to tell you, because we were talking about the management. So my GM went to eat. Todd went to eat with some other managers, and then somebody was there at the restaurant, and they go, "Oh, look at that superstar over there." And I get that, sometimes too. And he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Man, I've been looking for a Tundra forever, but you guys have markups." And it's like, I'm the GM. If you're looking for a vehicle, he came later that day, bought a Tundra.
And that's why you do it.
And that's why we do. It was even better than that, bro. It was a whole story, because he put his name on the napkin and his phone number. The waitress threw the napkin away. Todd calls me up. He's like, "I have a name and I have what vehicle they own. His name's Victor, and he's in an Avalon." So I went delving through the CRM, looking for this guy. Couldn't find him. Went to our Facebook message because that name sounded familiar. And this guy was asking, if you guys ever marked down your Tundras, and got his last name, went back to the CRM and kind of tied things and looked at his Facebook, because he was wearing the Dodger hat, and his email said something about the Dodgers. And I called him up. I go, "Hey, did you see Toyota Todd at the restaurant?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, good. We called him later that day, and Todd called him, "Hey man, thanks for meeting me. And you know what? We have the vehicle. Come on by." And he bought it that night. It's just amazing how things work. Yeah.
Well, so many things to unpack there. But this all goes back to this whole marketing, right? And it's not just when someone tries to say, "Oh, what's the ROI on it?" Well, ROI is important. Don't get me wrong, it is important. There's some things that just are not measurable. Like, yes, did he buy a car? Yes, that part is important. But so much of this is that, hey, we're out there. Todd is seeing your Toyota Todd. I'm going to start a conversation. But none of that happens if you're not out there and constantly out there with the same message and being consistent with your message. None of that happens. If you have some crap message that doesn't resonate, that doesn't happen. So I think too often, Nathan Garlick and I were talking, and we were talking about this whole ROI concept. And it was just driving us both bonkers that we were saying, why people get so stuck on this. And yes, while it is super important, the metric should be more of, am I hitting in the right area with the right message at the right time to the right person? And in turn, it's just, I continue to do that and continue to craft and hone my skill. So we're and then continue to do it. So when the time comes, when that customer, whether they're high funnel, mid funnel, low funnel, and we have that right message, that when they are ready to buy, there's no question of like, should I go with Valley High or should I go with ABC Toyota? No, they know where they want to buy, whether in their restaurant or whether they're at Jack in the Box. They know where they want to buy. And all that to say is that you guys know what you're doing and you know your audience. I'm done with my soapbox, Brian. I'm done with my soapbox.
No, it's true, because look, we have other ads that we post, and it's, the call to action, the specials and all that. But when COVID hit, we had built so much equity through the years before that, where we went all in on just branding. I mean, we did this spot where, you remember where people were doing drive-through birthday parties,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I was like, what if we do a drive-by, sale? And we were showcasing a truck, and we went on location to shoot this. We did a spot where we're doing a Zoom call, all right, and people were interacting with us. So just trying to be relevant. Yes, have the call to actions, have people drive down to the dealership. We do those as well, but we kind of went all in on the branding aspect to your point, where we can be noticed in public and just drive traffic to the dealership. Now, in part of that, you have to have your team be all in.
Yes.
Because if we're showcasing that we're this fun dealership, we have all these commercials and these gags and are just cheesy. I mean, let's be honest, they're cheesy. And but if they come into the dealership and the salespeople are just being jerks, and it doesn't mesh, doesn't tie, and people pick up on it so fast, right?
Yep.
It has to be that culture.
Amen. It's those two have to align. And that I go back to, like, if that message is not resonating, and people pick up on it so quickly. So you do so much in that. It seems outside looking in that you never have writer's cramp. Like you're just constantly like knocking these out. Do you ever get stuck with creativity, like block, or does that, if you do, how do you get unstuck? Because like from the outside looking, you're like, man, he's just cranking these out like crazy. He just never ever stops. He just must eat, breathe, and drink creativity.
Yeah, no, it's not true. Like I said, have a team around you, have people, and just, brainstorm. Don't be afraid to have an idea where it can just evolve from there. Okay. Because I can have an idea and somebody can level up, and it just, we're never settled because I'm dependent and reliant on my idea. It has to be a group effort. And so in terms of just getting unstuck, yeah, I know you're all about facts and not feelings, but whenever I don't feel like posting, whenever I don't want to do it, I won't do it. It's because if it's forced, then it just comes off as not being relevant to whatever your dealership's going through, or even personally. If I'm feeling down, or my wife and I are arguing, I just won't post. I mean, you want to have ideas that are constantly just running through your mind, and then kind of land on it. You're throwing darts, and maybe something will work, and a lot of times they don't. It's the name of the game. You can't be afraid to fail. And what's even worse is not even trying. Like, then you could have been like, that would have been perfect for this, month, or for this campaign. And if you don't at least try, you're not going to get it done. Oh, who was posting something? I think it was Seth Rogen that had a clip on Instagram, the actor, and that's what he was talking about. He was just saying, go do it. Hit that button.
Well, to your point is that, so, and I know I've said this before, so once again, you do the show, you're going to hear it for the first time. If you're OG, you're going to hear it for the second or third time, is that prior to starting my company, prior to starting this, rarely on social, I was like, hey, I'm really big on keeping my personal life personal, and my, I don't like being on social media. It was rarely I was on social. But I made a pact myself. I will never turn on the camera. I will never post unless I can be 100% authentic to you all and to myself. And so it was December, January, which is a pretty important time to probably be on social media when it comes to branding and having a company and branding yourself. I was like, I just can't do it. Like, there is a lot of shit going on. I was like, I just cannot do it. And did I take a hit? Yeah, 100% I did. But I was like, I just won't do it. And that is just something the audience can tell. Like, even so, you and I talked before, and I was having issues with the teleprompter. So when I first introduced the teleprompter, I had a guest that was on, and that just goes, hey, you need to loosen up a little bit. It looks like, I go, funny you mentioned that. Was actually my second time using a teleprompter. He goes, that's why. He goes, it looks like you're too tight. I go, it's because it's the second time using a teleprompter. but you've got to be authentic. Like the audience knows, everybody knows, like you're not just being yourself. Step away, clear your head, do you, like whether that's go buy a pair of Jordans, go do what you got to do, like do something to clear your head and just step away, because your audience, your clients, your whatever and honestly your home life as well, like everything's just going to be all upside down if you don't. So it's very, very wise advice there, Brian. Very, very wise advice. Let's round this out with, if you could give everyone out there one creative win, what's it going to be? No pressure.
Yeah, so it's trade places with your audience. Put yourself in their Jordans. Yeah, there you go. Because if it doesn't resonate with you, if you're looking at something and you're like, that's tacky, that's weak, well, then why are you doing it? Why are you pushing boring content? That doesn't resonate with them. If it doesn't even resonate with you, why are you going to go do it? So, and especially if you have a budget involved. So in terms of being creative, just think outside the box, please, and try something. Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, I read this book often. It's called Trading Your If Only Regrets for God's What If Possibilities. So don't go through like, if only I had done that, if only I had tried that, instead of like, what if I come up with this idea for this commercial where there is a Yeti and his name is Gas Squash, and he scares people who are at a picnic or who are at a campfire.
Gas Squash, reveal yourself.
I knew it. I would have gotten away with it with your gas-saving hybrids.
Frankie, you're not the man. No, he's Frankie, the gas man. Oh! Frankie!
Who does that, right? We do.
Person over there.
Yeah.
I love it. It is. It's, Michael Jordan, if I missed how many shots, you're going to miss a lot, but you're going to miss every single one you don't take. Or Michael Scott, one of the two said, I'm not really sure. Well, both of them, I think, actually. So, all right, Brian, well, it is that time. It is that time.
Okay.
Lighting around with Brian Ortega here. So for those that are watching, we've got his personalized link right below here. For those that are listening, Brian, how can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So instead of rummaging and going through all these different, avenues, we put everything that I have at brianjortega.com. Yeah. Our commercials are on there, our behind the scenes. You had mentioned, about messing up, and before we went live, you were like, oh, I got to redo this. I was like, keep that one. So we post, people like that even more. The bloopers, the outtakes, are sometimes even better than the final product. So, and that goes back to your point about humanizing people. So we put our stuff on there as well. So brianjortega.com, or just go to our YouTube channel. We have all our used car winners on there, our behind the scenes, and our outtakes, as well as our commercials.
Yes, that's just Brian Ortega. You can, once again, scan the QR code. You can type in this, whatever your preference is. It'll be in the show notes as well. That's going to take you to brianortega.com.
Brian J. Ortega.
Right, for the love, Brian J. Ortega.
Because Brian Ortega is an MMA guy, and he takes all of the SEO. So
this is true. This is true. This is very true. I did forget about him, actually. That is true. You got to fight. That's a hard fight, Brian. God.
He's going to win. Yeah.
In many ways.
and online.
Yeah, oh, that sucks, man. Sorry. All right. Let's jump into, name of the show is Facts, Not Feelings. How are you differentiating facts from feelings in either personal life or in your professional life?
So when it comes to in being a creative too, it's really hard because I'll sit down with the GSM, and we'll look at the facts. But a lot of times I really do go with gut instincts. Yeah, and I will follow Google Trends. We'll go look at what's relevant. But man, I think a lot of times people are too held tight to a schedule, to planning, which I need to actually do more of. But seeing a Sienna on the lot, let's get this out. So it's just what I want to focus on. But definitely, I don't want to talk about the hard stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff, right?
No, I love it. I love it. All right. What is something that we'll say that most people don't know about you?
Wow. So I don't want to say I'm an introvert. I'm maybe more like an ambivert, but people always think that I'm on, right? And a lot of times I just rather just chill, and soak things in. Like I'll walk through the dealership and people that recognize me will think I'm mad or something, or, just because they think I'm always, on for the camera, and they're like, "You okay, man?" I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I just working. I'm at work.
Well, leave me alone. All right, let's go with, if you could have, because you just did the superhero commercial recently, if you could have one super power, what would it be?
Yeah, so it wouldn't be going bald that fast, right? I was the bad guy in that. It would actually be Toyota Todd's power is to be able to fly, right? Because I commute to work. I mean, the traffic in California is ridiculous. So if I can get from place A to place B, in the air, I'm all for that.
And I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that. Brian, it has been such a pleasure getting to know more about not just you, but just everything. You're such a wealth of knowledge, and just thank you. I so appreciate everything that you've done and just continue to do. Everyone, if you haven't had a chance to get to know him, go check out BrianJOrtega.com. Got to put the J in there. Don't go. I mean, I love it, UFC and MMA, but go check out him instead. Go check out all this stuff. Go check out Valley High Toyota. They're doing just incredible things over there. And everyone, as always, find a way to serve today. Find a way to help your fellow neighbor, your coworker, your friends, however and whatever. Whether that's just opening a door, whether that is a kind smile, just a hug, whatever it may be. Just find a way to serve today. And with that, everyone, we will see everybody next week.